This podcast is part of the Deluxe Edition Network. To find other great shows on the network, head over to deluxeeditionnetwork.com. That's deluxeeditionnetwork.com.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Steven Gervais and Friends podcast. Today, I'm bringing you another episode of the history of the Detroit Lions. This would be Episode 6, 1982 through 1988, and it's also NFC Central Division champions, and Billy Sims retires. Before we get into the episode, though, I want to say this. If you're looking for your favorite podcast, go to the deluxeeditionnetwork.com, where you'll find a bunch of amazing podcasts done by independents, podcasters, all alike. Also, go on there and check out the podcasts of the month, which are Barrel Aged Flicks and HILF, History I'd Like to Blank, with Don Brody. Hopefully I said her last name right. Also, go check out Talkin' Shit, the Talkin' Shit Show with Mark Bensett Jr. and Brian Alum. Hopefully I said his last name right. And if you're looking for the energy drink that you've always wanted, go check out Dubby Energy. That's DUBBY energy.com. Or you can always click on the link in the description below. Also, if you haven't yet, go on the YouTube channel at Steven Gervais and Friends podcast and rewatch my interview with Sandy Johnson. Thank you so very much, and let's get into it. So, last week we found out a little bit about, on Monday, we found out a little bit about how bad, the Lions were in the 70s through 1981. Well, they kind of rebound in 1982, but they do lose a legend in Billy Sims later in the decade. So the Lions entered 1982 with hope for a possible playoff run. However, after a 2-0 start, a players' strike canceled 7 games, cutting the season to 9 games. After the strike ended, the Lions finished 2-5. Despite this, a 4-5 record was good enough to qualify for the playoffs. They became the second team to qualify for the playoffs with a losing record. In the wild card round, the Lions were routed 31-7 by the eventual Super Bowl champion Washington Redskins. In the following season, the Lions won 9 games in 1983 to capture the NFL Central Division champion. On December 31st, 1983, the Lions faced the San Francisco 49ers in the NFC divisional round. After the 49ers took a 14-3 lead in the first quarter, the Lions were able to trim the deficit to 14-9 by halftime on a couple of field goals by kicker Eddie Murray, who made what was then a postseason record 54-yard kick in the closing seconds of the first half. Thanks to 2 touchdown runs by Billy Sims, the Lions led for the first time by the score of 23-17 with 4 minutes and 54 left in the fourth quarter. Joe Montana then made one of his signature fourth quarter drives by completing 6 passes, the last of which was the go-ahead touchdown to Freddie Solomon, which gave the Niners a 24-23 lead with a minute and 23 left. The Lions were not done. Even though backup quarterback Gary Danielson, who had replaced an injured Eric Hipple, had a horrible game with 5 interceptions, he pieced together a closing drive to put the team within field goal range with 11 seconds left. Murray, who had previously made 3 of 4 field goals, missed for the second time from 43 yards on a kick that went wide right, which secured the victory for the 49ers. On October 21st, 1984, during a game against the Minnesota Vikings, Billy Sims suffered a career-ending knee injury. He spent 2 years trying to rehab his injury before retiring in 1986. Sims's injury would set the tone for the rest of the season as the Lions finished with a 4-win, 11-loss, and 1 tie record. Monty Clark was fired after the season. The Lions brought in Darryl Rogers, considered to be an offensive guru who previously coached at the college level. However, his tenure was marked with much disappointment. From 1985 to mid-season in 1988, he had acquired the record of 18 wins and 40 losses and was 2-9 in 1988 before he was fired. He was replaced by interim head coach Wayne Fontes, who by the end of his coaching career was considered to be one of the best coaches in franchise history and had the distinction of having the most wins and losses of any coach in franchise history. And there you have it for this episode. Again, the Lions do show their true colors again, where they get to the playoffs but then lose. They lose a legend due to a career-ending knee injury in 1984. Also, they replace even worse coach with Wayne Fontes, who would later have the distinction of coaching Barry Sanders. And I think the Barry Sanders episode will be the last episode of this history of the Detroit Lions. I don't want to get into the 0-16 and all that. But if you want me to keep going, in the comments, just say, hey, keep going with this history of Detroit Lions thing until it ends. And who knows, maybe I will. But I just want to say thank you so very much. Also, don't forget to go to the DeluxeEditionNetwork.com, where you'll find the podcast of the month, which is Barrel Age Flicks, and HILF, History I'd Like to, You Know What, by Dawn Brody. Hopefully I said her last name right. If I didn't, I'm sorry, Dawn. Also, go check out the DENNY'S on the DeluxeEditionNetwork.com, where you can vote for all your favorite categories. It's kind of like the Oscars, the Emmys, and the Golden Globes, but yet you don't have to listen to any political BS. Or you just get to choose your favorite categories, which, if you could, for Podcast of the Year, please vote Steven Gervais and Friends, as we need all the help we can get, as you all well know when you watch this podcast. Just kidding. Vote for whoever you'd like. No matter what, we always support our fans, and I appreciate it so much. We're almost to 700 downloads on Buzzsprout, and we are at 44 subscribers on YouTube. And if you haven't subscribed yet on the YouTube channel, what are you waiting for? You know you're going to come back, so hit that subscribe button, comment, leave a like, and also hit the notification bell so that you never miss another moment of the Steven Gervais and Friends podcast. Oh, and one more thing. Catch me tomorrow, as I will be on my friend Kyle Fletz's Movies and Pop Culture 13, as I don't even know what we're going to discuss, but you can always go on YouTube and check him out. He's a good friend of mine. And also, go check out the rest of the podcasts on the Deluxe Edition Network. They are a bunch of great people, and you'll never, ever, ever not want to support them because they're so amazing. I mean, they're an indie podcaster just like me, and they love what they're doing. They love their fans. They appreciate all the fans have done for them, just like me. And also, go check out Talkin' Shit by Mark Bensett Jr. and Brian Alum. Hopefully, Brian, I said your name right. If I haven't, you can always screw up my last name. I think it's only fair. All right. Thank you so very much, and I will talk to you all later.
This podcast is part of the Deluxe Edition Network. To find other great shows on the network, head over to DeluxeEditionNetwork.com. That's DeluxeEditionNetwork.com.